In this video, I'm going to teach you past tenses in English, where we will cover the four main past tenses: past simple, past continuous, past perfect, and the past perfect continuous tense. Past tenses are used to talk about actions and events that happened in the past. Each tense has its own unique use. We'll cover how to use each tense, their sentence structures, and examples to help you master them. Let's start with the past simple tense. We use this tense to describe completed actions in the past. For regular verbs, we add ed to the end of the verb, like walked, and for irregular verbs, on the other hand, they have unique past forms, like go becomes went. Unfortunately, for irregular verbs, you will just have to memorize them. Let's have a look at the sentence structure. For positive sentences, the structure is simple. We have the subject plus the past form of the verb. For negative sentences, we use did not or didn't before the base verb. And to ask a question, start with did, then the subject and the base verb. Here are some examples. He visited New York last summer. This is a completed action. I often played soccer when I was a child. This is a habit in the past. For negatives, she didn't finish her homework. And for questions, did they enjoy the movie? The past simple is the go-to tense for talking about things that happened and ended in the past. Next is the past continuous tense. This tense is used to describe actions that were in progress at a specific time in the past. It's also useful for describing interrupted actions or setting the scene. The structure is simple for this one as well. So for positive sentences, we use the subject, followed by was or were, and the verb with ing. So for example, I was walking to school. For negative sentences, add not after was or were, like I wasn't walking to school. And to form a question, we're going to switch the order. So, was I walking to school? Here are some examples. I was studying at 7 p.m. yesterday. This is an action in progress at a specific time. We were watching TV when the power went out. This is an interrupted action. She was reading a book while I was cooking. Here we are setting the scene. And for negative sentences, he wasn't paying attention. Lastly, let's have a look at a question. We can say, were they working late? So we use this tense to describe actions that were happening at a certain moment in the past. Now let's look at the past perfect tense. This tense is used when describing an action that was completed before another action, or another past action, let's say. The structure is as follows. So for positive sentences, we use the subject, had, and the past participle of the verb. For example, I had walked to school before it started raining. For negative sentences, we add not, like I had not walked to school. To ask a question, we start with had, followed by the subject and the past participle. So, had you walked to school before it rained? Here are some examples of the past perfect tense. I had finished my homework before dinner. The action of finishing the homework was completed before dinner. They had left by the time we arrived. Their leaving happened before we arrived. For negative sentences, we can say she hadn't called before he left. And then for questions, had you seen the movie before last week? So use this tense to talk about actions that happened earlier than another event in the past. Finally, let's talk about the past perfect continuous tense. This tense is used to describe an action that was ongoing before another past action or time. It emphasizes the duration of the action. The structure is for positive sentences. We use the subject had been and the verb ing with ing. For example, I had been walking to school for 20 minutes when it started raining. For negative sentences, it's had not been, followed by the verb with ing. So, I had not been walking to school for long. To ask a question, start with had, then the subject, been, and the verb with ing. Had you been walking to school before it rained? Had you been walking to school before it rained? Here are some examples. She had been working for hours before she took a break. This shows the duration of an action before another action. They had been studying for 2 hours by 10 p.m., emphasizing the time spent on studying. For a negative example, he hadn't been feeling well before the trip. And for a question, had you been waiting long before they arrived? This tense is used when you want to talk about how long something had been happening before another event in the past. Let's summarize what we've learned. So the past simple describes completed actions. Past continuous describes actions in progress at a specific past time. Past perfect describes actions completed before another action. And then past perfect continuous focuses on the duration of ongoing actions before another action. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.